Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back to the Tanel channel. My name is Tanel and today I'm reviewing another laptop and today I'm checking out the MSI GT73VR 6RE Titan, which is a laptop with a 17-inch screen and a GTX 1070. So yeah, let's take a closer look. So yeah, a couple of weeks ago I did receive the 17-inch monster on my desk here and started to run some benchmarks and see how it is in games and how the temperatures are and how loud it is and stuff like that. And I'm gonna try and talk about everything in this small quick little video review. So coming to the specifications, it has, yeah, as I mentioned, a 17.3-inch LCD. And this exact model is the 4K version. It is kind of weird to see 4K on a screen this small, but it still does make the games look a little bit more crispy, cleanish. But then again, I would prefer a regular 1080p panel or maybe a 1440p panel on a monitor this small. I don't kind of really get why we need 4K on a laptop, but yeah, here it is. But there is an option. There is an option to get the 1080p panel with 120 Hz with 5 millisecond response time and G-Sync. So that might be a really good option for a lot of gamers out there. But yeah, coming to the processor, GPU and stuff like that, it does have the i7-6820HK inside of it, running at 2.7 GHz, but with turbo it goes up to 3.6 GHz while gaming. It also has, yeah, the GeForce 1070 with 8 gigs of GDDR5 memory, which is bloody awesome when you're trying to game really high graphic density games like Grand Theft Auto or something like that. So GTX 1070 coupled with a Core i7 is just absolutely perfect. It also has 32 gigs of DDR4 memory running at 2400 MHz. And a cream of the crop, I guess, in this hardware specification, I guess has to be the M.2 SSDs. There are two 256GB Samsung M.2 SSDs, which the AS SSD benchmark utility gave a 2.8 GB of read performance, which is absolutely insane for a laptop. So perfect, absolutely perfect for gaming and also, you know, for everyday work. And also it has a 1 terabyte regular hard drive in it. Also a cool little thing to notice here is that on the right side of the laptop there is a panel with switches, and one of the switches can actually turn off the GTX 1070. You might ask, well, that's weird, why should we have that? It's not really that weird. When you're like traveling and you really want to maximize the performance of the battery, which runs about an hour while gaming, you can actually extend that time by a mile by just disabling the GTX 1070 by just one finger press on the GPU button, which disables the GTX 1070. So it starts running on the Intel GPU, which saves a lot of battery power, so you can actually do some work while, you know, traveling with a plane or something, you know. And yeah, coming to the ports, we do find a USB 3.1 Type-C port there, which is also a good thing to see on new laptops. And we do have 5 USB 3.0 ports, a SD card slot, a mini display port, a HDMI 2.0 port, which means that we can actually get 4K at 60 Hz from it, and also a LAN port with mic, headphone, line in and line out ports. And also, yeah, it does have a 30 FPS 1080p webcam. And yeah, that's kind of it for the specifications of the laptop. It does also have a really nice looking SteelSeries keyboard, which is kind of a you know, a regular thing with MSI laptops. But yeah, there are a ton of cool little options for the keyboard lighting, so you don't just have to have the one color pattern or you know, 3 different color patterns or stuff like that. You can make it wavy and stuff like that, so it's a pretty nice keyboard to have on a laptop. But coming to the benchmark, so I guess that's the one thing that you guys really want to know. So I did run some pretty perfect benchmarks, I guess. So let's start off with the 3D Mark benchmark. I ran the 3D Mark Firestrike, and in 3D Mark Firestrike it received 12,886 points, which is a pretty amazing result for a laptop that has a GTX 1070 in it. You know, regular desktop PCs should have like 16 to 18,000 points with that particular video card, but we have to take in count that it has a 6820HK Core i7, and it is still a laptop, but it's really close to the real actual desktop 1070. Also, I did run the DirectX 12 3D Mark TimeSpy, and in TimeSpy it received 5,113 points, which is also an amazing result actually, because it comes pretty close to my GTX 1080 desktop setup, which is pretty weird to see actually. Next up, I guess Tom Clancy's The Division, which I ran at ultra settings at 1080p, and it received 80.5 frames per second there, which is a pretty awesome result for Tom Clancy's The Division. I did just set it to ultra from the settings, so you can actually put on the special NVIDIA shadows and stuff like that, so you can still make it look a little bit more better, but I guess the frame rate kinda you know, hinders from it. But these are the 1080p benchmarks. I'm gonna come to the 4K benchmarks a little bit later. Next up is Grand Theft Auto 5. So I guess that's a game that a lot of people want to know how good does a PC run at while playing Grand Theft Auto 5. So Grand Theft Auto 5, really easy to benchmark it. It has a built-in benchmark program, and I do read the average frame result from the PAS4 benchmark. So that's the longest benchmarking run that you see at the end of GTA 5's benchmark. So average FPS there was 63.7 frames per second, which is a really good result. I mean, playing Grand Theft Auto 5 at 1080p is really good on this particular laptop. Coming next to Battlefield 1. So Battlefield 1, I guess I'm gonna tell the 4K benchmarking results also here, because at 1080p it received at ultra settings 100 frames per second as average FPS, which is amazing laptop for playing Battlefield 1. And at 200%, which is 4K, it received 56 frames per second, which is a nice result for Battlefield 1, I guess. And lastly, yeah, Hitman, the season 1 Hitman, you know, the Hitman that came out this year. Running that at DirectX 12, it received 95.8 frames per second. So yeah, that's kinda it for the benchmarks. The benchmarks themselves received really good results. I mean, I guess that's what you wanna expect from a laptop that has a 1070 and a Core i7 and also costs like 3,000 euros. But coming to the 4K benchmarks, I did run GTA 5 through it, and it received 45.6 frames per second there. So 1080p was 63.7 frames per second and 4K was 45.6 frames per second. It was definitely playable, but not the ideal frame rate for that. But then again, it was all ultra settings. All games that I benchmark are at ultra settings. So you can actually take some quality options down to, I don't know, very high or something, and still get a 60 frames per second average there, which is pretty awesome. Coming to Hitman, Hitman at DirectX 12 and 4K received 39.4 frames per second, which is pretty good results, but quite a huge drop from 95 frames per second at 1080p. So yeah, there's that to consider. I guess, yeah, you don't really lose a lot at 17 inches when comparing 1080p to 4K. You don't kind of really notice the difference that much as on a 27-inch or 65-inch TV or something like that. But yeah, I also did run Tom Clancy's The Division at 4K, and it received 31.8 frames per second. So it's pretty much like half of the frame rates that there was on 1080p, which is, yeah, it is playable, but not at the ultra settings. It kind of means for every game that you're playing. So if you get really good frame rates on 1080p on whatever game you're playing, expect half of that frame rate when playing at 4K. But yeah, coming to the temperatures, a lot of people in my previous reviews mentioned that, man, you didn't tell anything about the temperatures. So this time I did record the temperatures, and yeah, at idle temperatures, the idle temperatures were about 32 to 31 degrees, but that was like at 10-minute mark when the laptop was powered on. After like half an hour, it rose to about 40 degrees Celsius, so both GPU and CPU were 40 degrees Celsius. Which is, it's okay, but running a stress test, I did run the 3D Mark stress test, and it ran 20 minutes, and the GPU temperature peak was at 67 degrees Celsius, and the CPU was a little bit cooler, like 59 to 63 degrees Celsius. So that's it for the temperatures and all the benchmarks. I hoped I did cover most of the stuff here, but yeah, all in all, a pretty nice, cool little laptop, a cool little powerful laptop to purchase. But yeah, you kind of have to take into account that it is 3,000 euros, and with 2,000 euros, something like that, or maybe 500 to 700 euros, you can get the cheaper GT62, from which I did a review a while ago. And yeah, it's kind of hard to decide on which I should choose, but I kind of would go for the cheaper version, though if money is not an issue for you, I guess the GT73 for gaming is pretty perfect. But the GT62 still had the 1070, it still had the Core i7, maybe not as much as Pling and stuff like that, but yeah, I kind of tend to go with the GT62 here. Anyway, what's my final verdict for this laptop? I'm gonna give this laptop a 7.2 out of 10, and yeah, the main issue is that it is quite expensive, especially compared to the GT62 series. But then again, it does have some really nice, cool little extras, like the M.2 RAID, which is almost 3 gigs of read speeds, which is absolutely insane. And you can actually upgrade it with the brand new Samsung 960 EVO and Pro series. Anyway, yeah, that's pretty much the biggest downside is the price, I guess. And 4K, I don't know if it's the right choice for such a small screen. So if you're gonna go with this laptop, yeah, take into consideration the 1080p 120 Hz 5 millisecond response time LCD. So yeah, that's kind of it for my review here. I hope you liked it. I hope I covered most of the stuff here. If you still feel that I should have covered something else also, then leave a comment for me. And yeah, definitely leave a like, subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you soon, guys. Gonna go and start reviewing another product here. So more videos to come soon. Anyway, I hope you guys have a awesome year's end. The year is ending really soon here now. So have a nice time there, have a nice Christmas and stuff like that. So yeah, ciao for me right now, and I'll see you guys later in the next video.